Hello and welcome back to this edition of Daily Actives brought to you by Bootleg Macro. I am Dustin and we are taking a look at RXRX. This is the first time that this one's been on the Daily Actives list in a long time, if ever. Recursion Pharmaceuticals Incorporated. And what a day you had. Up 78.17%. I mean, what I'm seeing here is that you're up 115%, but what it says on Yahoo Finance is a little bit different. I'm going to quote the higher number because I know the bulls are with me today. The one thing that I can highlight is that we're seeing that there's red lettering with a white background. Now, if you've never watched any of my other videos, if you watch some of my other videos, you'll see that I call this out because that means that it's 3 standard deviations above the mean, which when I look at this candle here, I can understand why. That is a rocket. That is the highest price in the past 9 months, completely changing the fortunes. Now, something that's interesting to me is that we're instantly obviously going to be above the 5-day moving average. Obviously, the 5 days is going to be above the 20-day. And we had 80 million shares traded in just one day. Now, the one thing that I do find to be really fascinating is that we did flip suddenly from the 1 day, the 5 day, the 15-day, the 1 month, and the 6 month. What's interesting here to me, though, is that the 3 month the entire time has been positive. So if you want to look at what I believe is a really good signal, it's when you get a confirmation of a longer term rolling return that goes positive after being bearish for a very long time. Where was this? This hasn't been positive since 2022. And it went positive on May 22nd at $8.12, which, yes, maybe you could have bought it, maybe you would have, maybe you wouldn't have. That would have been a tough pill to swallow, but it looks like you've been rewarded if you believe in that 3-month rolling return. And suddenly the 6-month rolling return is also incredibly positive, from down 26% yesterday to up 63%. These moves are insane. Now, the one thing I will say is that we do not see it go long, or go long at all. We still have short signals here in the short term, intermediate term, and longer term. We do see still bearish on the short term, intermediate term, and longer term as well. If I look at this sentiment, as one would expect, the sentiment is completely flipped. But the one thing that I really will say here is that sentiment is not overbought. You may think that that price move is incredibly crazy, and I don't have any reason to know why this happened. And you may say, to be up 115% a day, that's got to be overbought. Maybe not, because this overall market hasn't really been that good. There's been a lot of demand that has wanted to get going, but really hasn't, because the supply has just been knocking it down. There's been people selling shares, not buying shares. And today, all of that changed when you look at this chart, because I don't even know what you call that. I don't believe in candle chart shapes, but that's a remarkable candle. We look here at the daily sentiment indicator. This isn't going to be reflective at all. This is going to take a couple days to set up, because normally this indicator is not made for 1-day moves. I mean, look at the volume that you see in 80 million shares traded. The closest thing we saw back in May was 15 million shares traded, 7 million back in 2022. I mean, this thing was having a general average of around 1 million shares traded a day. That's a ridiculous move. Now, if we look at the volatility, what we can see here is that the volatility kind of bottomed recently around 4th of July, and now it's been rising ever since. If you look at the price correlation, it's also been positive. So this should not be a surprise to anybody who's been in the stock for a while, if you look at it the way that I look at it. Now, the range, this is going to be completely out of whack. The range is at $10.80 at the top, and at the bottom it's at $5.29. We're going to want to be patient here. Probably very similar to what we saw here at the end of May. It's probably going to go sideways for a bit, reconsolidate, and then if it resumes, it's going to keep going up. Now we can see the ultra fast sentiment indicator. Obviously, this is not going to be caught up either. This will take a couple of days, but I imagine this is going to go from 43% today to probably like 60% tomorrow, maybe by Friday. We'll find out. But tell me what you think in the comments below. Are you long? Are you short? Do you like it? Do you love it? Is this even a good review? And before you go, do yourself a favor. Subscribe to the New High newsletter. It comes out Sundays at 9 just for you. Talk to you soon.